Happening right now, Plaza Azteca in South Fargo is back open after a tragic shooting earlier this week inside the restaurant. And they're hosting a fundraiser for the two victims. That's where we find Valley News Team's Aaron Walling this afternoon. Aaron, what are you seeing?
Hi, Stacy. I'm outside Plaza Azteca, where the community is allowed back into the restaurant after the shooting that took place on Wednesday. Now, 50% of the proceeds today will be going to Lucia Garcia and her son after they were shot on Wednesday. It's to help out in their road to recovery as they continue to recover from their injuries. Now, I spoke with the daughter of the owner of the plaza, who says that it's heartwarming to see the support from the community. She also mentioned that the doors are always open for Lucia Garcia, stating that she was a regular to the restaurant as the Fargo-Moorhead community tries to wrap its arms around those heavily impacted by the Census Act. Reporting live in Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
All right, looked like a pretty big crowd there earlier today. Thanks, Aaron. We'll check in with you again in about an hour. As Aaron mentioned, 21-year-old Lucia Garcia and her 7-month-old son Dominique were the victims of that shooting. They're both being treated at Sanford Hospital, but they have a long road to recovery. Police say 24-year-old Malik Gill shot the two inside the restaurant before stealing a car and leading police on a high-speed chase in Clay County. That chase ended in a crash, and deputies found Gill dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Gill has a violent criminal history in both North Dakota and Minnesota. Most recently, a warrant was out for Gill's arrest at the time of Wednesday's shooting on charges of domestic assault in Cass County. Court records show Gill was charged on April 21st for shoving Garcia to the ground, grabbing her by the throat and pushing her. The shooting happened while a no-contact order was in place. The shooting has many worried about their safety, and the Cass County Sheriff's Department wants to ease some concerns. They're now offering active shooter training to any area business. The sheriff says they want to inform people so they could potentially save as many lives as possible. If you're interested, reach out to the Cass County Sheriff's Office. Hutch joins us now with the first look at your weekend forecast. Hutch?
Thanks so much, Stacy. Gray skies overhead and passing showers showing up on the sky cam. As we look at the base of those clouds, there are some raindrops falling from a few of them. Here is a look at your headlines. We have freezing conditions possible for some of our northern and western counties. Frost likely elsewhere. Cover those plants and make sure that you bring in those potted flowers that you just purchased, because it's going to get cold. And it's going to stay below freezing in some areas for close to what we would consider a hard freeze. That's more than 3 hours below freezing. Garden hoses, some of you may want to disconnect those too, just to avoid problems this morning. No words, but that was in northwest North Dakota. No words. Now, few showers making their way through our area right now. Northwest Minnesota, we're seeing those showers pass through Red Lake Falls and stretch down towards Crookston and Ada along the Highway 200 corridor. 39 Thief River, 39 in Roseau, 45 Oaks, and the hot spot Sisseton to Alexandria, where we're barely in the 50s. Freeze warning. That means it's likely to happen in most of those counties in purple. In the blue, frost advisory. It does include Fargo-Moorhead. Lakes Country, you may be the safest from any frosty conditions. Tonight, bundle up as you're heading out. It's going to get cold. It's breezy. We will have a chance at passing showers mainly north. Your hour-by-hour forecast shows our cold weather does extend through the entire weekend into early next week. Details on that and a warm-up in a minute.
The warm-up part sounds good. Thanks, Hutch. National Guard troops are heading to northeastern Minnesota to support flood operations. County emergency managers are requesting help to deal with high water caused by heavy spring rains and rapid snowmelt throughout the Rainy River Basin. With more rain expected this weekend, we're likely to see river levels rise beyond their historic highs of 2014 and 1950. Docks and boathouses have already sustained damage on several lakes, and some residents are continuing to sandbag to protect their homes. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar and a bipartisan group of colleagues announced a resolution designating May 15th to the 21st as National Police Week. The resolution passed the Senate. It recognizes the importance of law enforcement officers in ensuring the safety and security of their communities and honors the 576 officers who lost their lives in the line of duty in 2021. Less than a week after the horrific attack on shoppers at a Buffalo, New York supermarket, the Department of Justice is highlighting new efforts to combat hate crimes. Natalie Brand has the story.
We need to fix this.
As families and the community of East Buffalo grieve 10 black people killed in a racist supermarket massacre, Attorney General Merrick Garland laid out steps the Justice Department is taking to combat hate crimes.
Last weekend's attack was a painful reminder of the singular impact that hate crimes have not only on individuals, but on entire communities.
The Attorney General made his remarks on the one-year anniversary of the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act becoming law. It directs the Justice Department to expedite the review of hate crimes and give more guidance to state and local agencies so reporting hate crimes is easier.
We commit to using every resource of the Department of Justice to prevent these kinds of acts of hate.
New steps include the hiring of a DOJ language coordinator and a $10 million grant program to, in part, fund special hotlines to report hate crime incidents. The White House's domestic policy advisor, Susan Rice, told CBS News the first step is calling out hate and treating it with the seriousness it deserves.
We are actively pursuing making sure that those that propagate hate are and those who act on that hate face consequences.
The president of the NAACP met with Attorney General Garland Friday. The NAACP has released its own response plan following the Buffalo massacre, calling on the Department of Justice and Federal Trade Commission to aggressively target misinformation and disinformation on social media platforms that recruit young people to spread hate. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Today, the Attorney General said the Department of Justice is investigating the Buffalo shooting as a hate crime. Family and friends of one of the victims of the shooting gathered today. They described 67-year-old church deacon as a kind man who gave elderly shoppers rides to the top supermarket where the shooting took place. The funeral was attended by many in the community and Reverend Al Sharpton. Despite the outpouring of support, the family says they're in a state of shock. They're looking into a possible lawsuit against gun manufacturer Remington, which made the weapon used in that massacre. In Ukraine, the surrender of hundreds of fighters as prisoners of war is refocusing attention on the case of a Ukrainian medic who's been held by Russia since March. Yulia Payeska, a Ukrainian medic, recorded the first weeks of Moscow's ruthless assault in the city of Mariupol on a body camera. The 53-year-old mother smuggled that footage to the Associated Press. The next day, on March 16th, she and her driver were captured by Russian forces. She was accused of being a neo-Nazi. Part of Russia's narrative is that it's attempting to de-Nazify Ukraine. The Ukrainian government credits that medic with saving hundreds of lives. They're calling for her release, along with other Ukrainians being held by Russia. President Biden has arrived in Asia for meetings with new leaders in South Korea and Japan. National security interest highlights the president's trip, but the economy will also be a major talking point. Natalie Brand has more.
President Biden arrived in South Korea for his first trip to Asia since taking office. The administration has said focusing on the Indo-Pacific region and countering China's influence is a key foreign policy priority.
So much of the future of the world is going to be written here in the Indo-Pacific over the next several decades.
President Biden is meeting with South Korea's new president before heading to Japan for his first face-to-face meeting with their new prime minister. Both new leaders campaigned on strengthening ties with America.
It's actually been a long time since an American president made their first trip to the region and had both the Japanese and Korean leaders so positive and forthcoming about cooperating with the U.S. and with each other.
President Biden's trip to the region comes as U.S. intelligence indicates there is a very real risk that North Korea could test another ballistic or nuclear weapon.
We are preparing for all contingencies, including the possibility that such a provocation would occur while we are in Korea or in Japan. We are coordinating closely with our allies in both Korea and Japan on this.
The president is also stressing economic cooperation during a visit to a semiconductor plant. The ongoing shortage of microchips is one factor that's driving global inflation.
Spotlight the need to secure our critical supply chains so that our economy, our economic, and our national security are not dependent on countries that don't share our values.
Samsung announced it will build a similar plant near Austin, Texas, hoping to begin production in 2024. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
Samsung is investing $17 billion in that new plant, making it the largest investment the company has made in the U.S. The housing market in the Red River Valley is heating up heading into the warmer months, and this is the last weekend to get inspired at the Spring Parade of Homes. The FM Home Builders Association is showing off nearly 50 brand new homes across the metro for free. Each home featured in the parade opens at noon. The tour ends at 5. Fargo Marathon Week continues tonight. Last night was the youth run. Tonight's the 5K at the Fargo Dome at 6:30. Tomorrow is all the longer races, kicking off with the half marathon at 7 a.m.